Afghanistan, land of extremes, ravaged by war, and one of the most dangerous countries in the world. So you might wonder why I'm here. I came all the way from Australia for love. She was an aid worker in Kabul, and I was planning to propose. But it didn't work out as planned. I was broke, broken-hearted, and stuck in a war zone. But crazy things happen in Afghanistan. So when these TV guys called and asked me if I wanted to do a travel show about the country, I was ready to listen. They wanted me to find Afghan stories that had never been told. And me? I jumped at the chance. And that's how I became the extreme tourist. Mazar-e-Sharif, the capital of Balkh province, 10 hours north of Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan, and the first major city to fall during the American war against the Taliban in 2001. Since then, it's opened up and is famous for being the site of the biggest New Year celebrations in the country, known as Nowruz. I'm racing to get there in time for the lead-up events, like the camel fighting, egg fighting, dance and rock and roll. Then here on New Year's Day at the famous shrine of Hazrat Ali, thousands of religious pilgrims will come for a special flag-raising ceremony that sees in the new year. But the real highlight of Nowruz for most Afghans is something that's commonly known as the most dangerous sport in the world, Buzkashi. Buzkashi is the country's national sport and involves hundreds of men on horses battling over a dead goat. They say it's more than just a game. It's about status, power, and pride. It's highly political, and it's a test of your manhood. And that's why I plan to compete in the biggest Buzkashi competition of the year on New Year's Day. The only problem is, I don't really know how to ride a horse. If I want to compete in the Buzkashi, I need to be part of an official team. So I'm meeting up with a guide, Eltaf, who's organized the trainer to whip me into shape. But first, I need to get into something a little more comfortable. This is the tailor?
Yeah, this is the tailor shop.
Okay, and he's good?
Yeah, he's good.
He's the best?
He's the best.
He's the best?
He's
okay.
my best friend also.
He's your best friend? Okay. Bring on the shalwar kameez. Salam, sabur hastan. This is the shalwar kameez, the traditional dress of the Afghan man. Every province has a different version, and Afghans can tell exactly where you come from depending on what you're wearing. In Mazar, the design is simple, with minimal decorations. You wear a cloth around your neck, and the buttons are always at the front. What do you think? Eltaf Jan. Okay, so, what do you think?
You look so great.
I look so
now
great?
You're an Afghan man.
I'm an Afghan man?
Yeah, you're an Afghan man.
So with Eltaf's seal of approval, we head for the Buzkashi. And weirdly, you look incredibly Western.
اینطور وقتی شده که در زیر 3 اسب 4 اسب میمونیم قبرغه میشکنه این بینیم 3 دفعه شکسته این دیستاره میبینیم و این بچه مثلا پایش 3 جمعه پیشتر شکست ولی اون سر چیز دین روز آخر هم گرفته.
This is Mr. Ali. He's been a Buzkashi trainer for more than 36 years, and he's the man I'll have to impress if I want to get into a team. But will I have enough time to become a chapandaz, the Afghan name for Buzkashi rider?
یکی عملی است یکی تدریسی چیز است نه برش میآموزانیم و سوم برش حرکات سر اسب سوار کاری رو برش میآموزانیم در 6 ماه تکمیل چاپانداز میشه.
Unfortunately, I've only got a few days. Let the games begin.
به خاطر که از بیرون اگه هست اومده بزنه اینجا اوگار نمیشه.
This thing is good for defense. When the horses beat you.
So the horse is going to beat me?
اتفاق میفته بسیاری در درون هستی یک دفعه اسب دویده میزنه یک اسب کتلغت میزنه.
Buzkashi is thought to have been introduced to Afghanistan by the Mongols hundreds of years ago, and it draws on the long history of Afghan horsemanship.
Why are you laughing?
Some people say that Buzkashi is so violent, it's less like sport and more like war. So having had only one riding lesson before in my life, I'm not really prepared for battle. But here goes.
Goat kujast.
Ah yes, the goat. Buzkashi literally means goat dragging. A goat or calf is decapitated, gutted, filled with sand and soaked in water overnight. It can weigh up to 60 kilograms, and if you can't lift it, then you're in trouble. Today, this carpet fills in for the goat.
Yeah? اینجا بیا اینجا که آوردی پایت مثلا پایت لغت کن لغت کن اینجا رو محکم بگی بگو.
What should I do now? What am I supposed to do now?
بیار جلو بگو همیشه.
Am I ready to ride in the Buzkashi this Nowruz?
شما شاگرد ابتدایی میتونین شامل مسابقه شده نمیتونی با یکی جایی حتی ما در این مزار 60-70 شاگرد داریم 12 نفر شامل میشه در مسابقه.
I can feel my big chance slipping away. But then...
So then, can he have 3 reserves?
میتونه که 15 نفر شب همراه 3 نفر رزرو.
میتونم.
I can't believe it. I'm in the team. Sure, only as a reserve, but so what? I must really have impressed him.
I think he's proud of me. I hope he's proud of me. These heels are killing me. Props to all women out there. And Chopin does it.
As I ride back from the Buzkashi lesson, I notice a man walking a magnificent-looking camel. It turns out that this is one of Mazar's famous fighting camels, and the fights are a major part of Mazar's New Year activities. The next day, I get through to somebody on the number I was given. Because it's so secretive, I don't know who I'm talking to, but they tell me that the camel fights are taking place that day and where to go. When we turn up, our man from the previous day is there, but my guide Eltaf introduces me to somebody else, the head trainer, Haji Saib. Camel fighting is an expensive sport, with camels costing up to $10,000.
Is it dangerous? It's not going to bite me? That's. I think he's growling at me. I'm not sure. And do the camels like to fight?
بله به علاقه خودش این بزرگ نمیشه این بلا خودش میپره.
So they actually have to close, they're closing their mouth.
Yeah.
So they don't eat each other.
Yes.
Then I ask a question I will come to regret.
Do you think that you could beat a camel in a fight?
جنسي إنسان جسم إنسان جنس ثلاثة برابر ممكن تمشي يك منطقة خباكار فرتا أمريكا سوال ميكانيكي.
Betting is an important part of this sport at New Year, and I'm told that on a big camel fight, the owner can win up to 3 million Afghani or $60,000. So there's a lot riding on what's about to happen. It's amazing, they fight like humans.
This guy's still on good.
Who won?
مساوي.
Yeah, they're equal.
They're equal?
They're equal, yeah.
Does Haji Saib get excited about the fights?
نشرها يا جانا شو مخشتر نستهم.
The next fight starts up. The fight is over, but the trainers decide to keep going themselves. I'm told that one trainer is accusing the other of not tying up the mouth of his camel properly. It's a dangerous oversight because an injured camel can't fight, and thousands of dollars in preparation and future earnings go down the drain. A meeting is called, which I think is about the fight, but Eltaf says it's more than likely also about me and the question I asked earlier on.
Do you think that you could beat a camel in a fight?
What's happening over there is called a jirga, a traditional Afghan Grand Council. It's where a group of males come together to discuss important matters or solve serious problems. The jirga decides who is in the wrong and hands out punishments. If Altaf is right and we are one of the parties getting a punishment, we could be in a lot of trouble. Then finally, Altaf comes back with the verdict. The news is not good. Altaf explains that my earlier question to the camel trainer has caused offense. They're discussing me at the jirga. The situation has suddenly become very tense.
They wanted to come here.
They wanted to come here and what?
Yeah, and fight with you.
Have a human fight?
Yeah, human fight. Yeah.
Should we leave?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
We head off quickly to avoid any more trouble. After my adrenaline-charged morning, Altaf decides that I need to relax. He invites me over to his house for a traditional New Year's delicacy, hafmiva, or 7 fruits.
Salam, good. How are you? Very good, thank you. Thank you.
I'm honored to be your guest at Nowruz and honored to be having some haft miweh with you. Thank you so much for having me.
خوش آمدین.
تشکر.
علاوه بر اینکه هفت میوه خو حرفی نیست. افغان‌ها خصلتش است که واقعا مهمان نواز هستند. ولی خصلت افغان‌ها است که همیشه مهمان نواز است. خانه‌شان کسی که بیاد ولو که چیزی هم نداشته باشه، اما تمام چیز خود در اختیار مهمان قرار میده.
What is in the haft miweh?
Shall we drink? It's not time for asking questions.
Okay.
Drink.
Just drink. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is delicious.
Almond, yeah.
The 7 fruits are raisins, senjed, pistachio, hazelnut, prune, walnut, and almond, or another species of plum fruit.
این است که یک گرانه افغان است که سال اول خودم آغاز میکنه با البته لباس نو یعنی هفت میوه که میسازن میخورن به این معنا که سال مکمل اینا تکمیل غذا برش میسر شود.
Incredibly, the Afghan New Year was banned under the rule of the Taliban, along with most of its cultural traditions. So it's great to see it back and bringing so much joy and unity to the people. For 2 whole weeks throughout the country, people refurbish their house, paint the buildings, henna their hands, and as Eltaf's uncle said, buy new clothes. I've noticed all the bright new fashions around the markets, and especially on the women, but it's one particular fashion piece that catches my eye, and very soon gets me into a whole lot of trouble.
Shit. Okay, here we go.
I've decided to walk out in public in a burqa, and I've chosen as the site of my experience a crowded market in the center of town in the middle of the day.
This is a ridiculous situation.
That's true. I probably need to explain. The burqa is one of the defining images of Afghanistan. In the West, most people think it's oppressive, others think it should be outlawed, and some even see it as a fashion accessory. When I arrived in Afghanistan, I'd stare at these blue ghost-like figures walking around and think, there's a woman under there. And then, after a while, I just started seeing them as walking burqas, not even a person. That shocked me. But what do Afghan women think about the burqa? Before I find out, I've got to do some research. See, the Western media calls so many things burqa that I'm confused. So here's what I've found. This is the hijab, basically a headscarf. This is the popular alamira, a 2-piece veil. Then there's the shayla, popular in the Gulf region. The khimar leaves the face clear. The chador is a full-body cloak worn by many Iranian women. The niqab leaves only the area around the eyes clear. And finally, the burqa, the most concealing and controversial of all veils. It covers the entire face and body, leaving just a mesh screen to see through. Feeling like I've got a grasp on the basics, I meet up with an Afghan fashion expert. Katoum is the presenter and producer of Afghan Model, a fashion show that explores all sides of the Afghan fashion experience.
So Katayan, welcome to The Extreme Tourist on Oriza Television. Thank you for coming along. And we'd like to invite you to come and have a look at the video with us. Let's roll it.
Earlier in the day, we'd gone out to shoot some Mazari fashion. Okay, can you pause it right there? What's the deal with the length of the burqa?
It's all long.
Okay.
Yeah, all it should be long, but they do it like different colors. In Mazar, mostly they wear it white. In Kabul, mostly they wear it blue.
Yeah.
It's because like a culture thing in each province.
What do you think of what she's got on there?
I think that's a good style. She can wear jeans, she can wear a top on it, and she can have her hijab as well. That covers her, so that she doesn't need to wear a burqa.
Out of 10, how much would you give it?
I will give it 7.
If you wear the burqa, does that mean that you are oppressed?
I think it is. That's not something like a woman have to do it and like they make them to do it. So it shouldn't be like that. There are people, especially the young generation girls, they want to get out of that. We want to show that there are more other clothes that they can wear.
Do you think that in any situation the burqa can look good?
That's burqa. If you wear anything, any color, it's just covered up.
So that's a big cross for all 3 of those burqas.
Yeah.
While Katoum may not represent all Afghan women, she presents an interesting younger urban view on Afghan fashion. But to truly understand the burqa experience, and in an attempt to kind of demystify it, I feel like I need to walk a mile in its shoes. To do that, I need to buy a burqa, so Eltaf's cousin Maisam takes me down to the market. Honestly, This is not something I ever expected to do in my lifetime.
Do you have anything in blue?
This is Daoud. His family have been in the burqa selling business for generations.
My wife is quite tall. She's Swedish, so we need something really big. This is very tall.
Is it free size?
It's the biggest size?
It's free size.
It's free size?
Yeah.
Oh, really, really big. That's the front? Okay.
Yes, this is the front.
And then you'll hold it like
then
this.
You hold like this.
It goes down to the bottom? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's surreal. I feel kind of guilty for being inside this thing that's caused so much controversy.
Okay. Tell me what is good about the burqa.
خوبی چادری به خاطر هفته نمیزنه دیگه حجاب اسلامی است این دو خوبی داره.
Daoud sells between 80 to 100 burqas a day, and they range in price from 400 to 1,200 Afghanis. That's $10 to $15. But right now, he says business isn't good.
وقت طالبان خیلی خوب بود اول حکومت کرزی هم خوب بود حالا کمی ضعیف‌تر شده.
Does that mean that you missed the time of the Taliban?
خوش نداره.
These are little burqas. For the child that you need to cover up.
So, burqas in hand, I need to find some pants that won't give away the fact I'm a man. Something practical and unassuming, something subtle, something in hot pink.
That's good. That probably will be big enough. It might draw attention, but it'll hide. Because nobody will ever think that somebody would wear pink and a burqa who was a man. We'll take this one.
Finally, I buy some women's shoes to cover my feet, and I'm ready to walk out in public in my burqa, something that if I get caught could very well land me in jail. To avoid drawing attention to myself, I need to stay as calm as possible.
Sabor, what have you got yourself into this time?
I don't think anyone's ever tried this before, and Eltaf and my son tell me I could get locked up if I get caught.
Let's go, let's do this thing, it's now or never. Okay. It's really difficult to see. Really difficult to see. I'm really nervous. I hope that my walk is okay. That man just said something rude to me. There's a police car going past. Oh, I'm a bit nervous about that. Yeah, it's straight in front of the taxi. I hope my walk is okay. I think it's kind of sassy New Yorker rather than Afghan woman. It's a freaky experience. Actually, it's kind of liberating because nobody is looking at me. Actually, I realized everybody is. That was the most bizarre and incredible experience of my life. You can't see anything underneath there, and it's incredibly hot. And there are guys talking to you the whole way along, whistling at you and saying little Persian kind of sweet words to you. So I only had to walk 100 meters in a woman's shoes, or burqa. But it was quite a freaky experience.
After walking around in a dress for so long, Eltaf feels I need to reconnect with my manly side, so he takes me to battle in a traditional New Year's pastime.
Hello?
Egg fighting.
Any egg?
Any egg. Okay. I want to take this one.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
How am I supposed to choose? What am I supposed to look for?
Just choose an egg that it should be not white.
White is weak?
Yeah, white is weak.
Yeah, typical.
I always thought that boiled eggs seemed like such peaceful objects, but in Afghanistan they see things differently. Egg fighting is a fun and important part of most big holiday events.
Take it like this.
Yeah.
Then touch it. Oh.
Ah! Wow!
You're equal. You're the same.
Right.
Because you broke this side and I broke your side.
Okay. I don't understand the rules of this game. It seems weird, but there you go. After you fight, you eat.
We still have 24 hours to go before New Year's Day, and there's something in particular I want to investigate. One of the really lovely things about New Year in Mazar is the way they celebrate their famous poets by putting them on billboards around the city. I'm fascinated by how much Afghans love poetry. They're crazy about it. And what better place to explore that than in Mazar, not far from the birthplace of one of the most famous poets in the world, Rumi. But it's actually someone else that grabs my attention. Rabia. Rabia was the first poetess in the history of Afghan Persian poetry, and her story is incredible. It's like Shakespeare on steroids. It's crazier than an episode of Desperate Housewives, and it goes like this. Rabia's father's name was Kab, and he was a governor. When Kab died, his son Arez, Rabia's brother, became the new governor. Arez had a Turkish slave named Baktosh. Rabia was secretly in love with Baktosh. Arez discovers this from another great poet, a dude called Rudaki. Arez imprisons Baktosh in a well and locks up Rabia, who then apparently cuts herself very badly and writes her final poem with her own blood on the wall. Moments after she finishes, she dies. Baktosh escapes from the well, and when he hears the news, goes to the governor's office and murders Arez. Then he takes his own life. It's an incredible story, and I'm really inspired to find out more about this Afghan passion. Firstly, because I've never really got poetry, and secondly, because I'm interested in getting a few tips of my own to impress the ladies in the future. What I need is a poetry expert, and luckily, Eltaf's cousin Maisam knows just the person I'm looking for. Afghans love poetry.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Why?
right.
Why?
Iqbal is a Pakistani poet. He says, "Sharqiyan ra ishq raz kainat." The Eastern people, created by the love.
Yeah.
But the East and the West is so different, he says, according to the Iqbal.
Yeah.
So right now we can say that the Eastern people, especially Afghan people, they're feeling really created on love.
Yeah. But what were we created on? The West?
But on science.
On science. I don't get poetry. Before today, I would look at poetry and read it, and it would leave me cold. I just never got it. Why?
The poem is coming from the soul. It's coming from the deep and deep and deep of the of the heart. So you can find it there.
Does that mean that there's something wrong with my spirit?
Oh no, that's not. I mean, you didn't want maybe. So if you try, you can find.
He agrees to rate some of my initial attempts at poetry. She makes me want to be a better man.
That's great that you can think more. Deeper.
Yeah, no good?
No.
A love like this comes along but once in a lifetime.
That's great. That's beautiful.
Because nobody puts baby in the corner.
That's so simple and no.
Okay. Reza must have realized I need more help than he can give on his own, because he invites me out to visit some Sufis who use Rumi's poetry to achieve transcendence. Maybe it can help me.
This is Sufism people, and they are singing also. They have a tradition like a sema. Okay. I mean, but this is very exciting that because they are in the house, and Rumi's house. So you're
Rumi's
so
house,
lucky,
right, yeah.
today. Yeah.
Wow, and we're actually going to be doing the summer in Rumi's house.
Yeah, of course.
Reza explains that the aim is to form a union or connection with God, and within the feeling or spirit that follows, to achieve transcendence. I'm a little weirded out at first, But I really want to tap into whatever it is that they're tapping into. The chanting is beautiful, the rocking movement is hypnotic, and pretty soon, I'm falling under its spell. Despite getting right into the Sufi chant, a few hours later I still haven't produced even one poem. So I leave Rumi's house to try out a different kind of inspiration. The famous underground hash markets of Mazar.
Okay, so everybody talks about these thriving hash markets that are along the side of the road here. It's all kind of secret, supposedly. But it's pretty much out in the open, because right there along the side of the road are a whole lot of hash plants, marijuana plants, and bevoshi. And just along here is the market, and usually you can really smell it because of the wind coming in from there, and there it's a really strong smell. Today you can't smell it so badly, but it's all there apparently, wrapped up.
The markets have just been raided by police, so unfortunately I can't take a camera in with me. But Reza tells me that this is a favorite method of inspiration for many poets. I'm at a dead end. I feel like I've failed in trying to understand Afghanistan's passion for poetry. And because New Year's celebrations start tomorrow morning, followed by the big Buzkashi competition, I don't really have any more time to give. But later that afternoon, as I give it one more go back at the hotel, I suddenly remember something that Reza told me.
Many of the poems is really comes from the love. But love to who? Love to God, love to, for example, country, love to nature.
So much comes from love when it comes to poetry.
Yeah. We can returning back to one very old, book, says Ishq bunyan hasti ist. Ishq, love, is base or is foundation of the creation. When they say Ishq, loving came, and take you,
Everything starts from feeling.
Yeah.
So I have to start to learn how to feel.
Yeah, that's important.
So if love is the foundation of all poetry, then there's still hope for a budding young poet like myself. But more importantly, judging by the number of songs, movies, and works of art that get released every year from my side of the world and that obsess over that thing called love, maybe the East and the West aren't that far apart after all. It's New Year's Day, and I'm starting to regret the whole Buzkashi thing. People have been killed doing this, people who actually knew what they were doing. Earlier in the week, Eltaf took me to see a fortune teller to ease my mind.
Do you have any advice for me when I ride in the Buzkashi? Is there going to be anything that happens to me? Should I watch out for anything?
And that's all I've got to feel better right now. The word of a fortune teller. It'll have to do because right now it's time for New Year's celebrations. I head to the shrine of Hazrat Ali along with thousands of other people. This place has got an amazing story behind it. Ali was the cousin and son-in-law of the Islamic prophet Muhammad. After he was murdered in 661, he was buried in a mosque in Iraq. Ali was commemorated by many Muslims for his courage, knowledge, belief, honesty, devotion to Islam, and deep loyalty to Muhammad. And most of them continue to believe that his body remained buried in Iraq. However, at the beginning of the 12th century, all the way over in what is now known as Afghanistan, a mullah had a dream that Ali was buried nearby. A ruler then built a small shrine which grew over time until it became the famous shrine it is today. Which is why there's a flag erected in Ali's honor every New Year's Day. That flag is considered to have special powers, and thousands of people turn up each year hoping to touch the flag and be healed or blessed. So, while all of this color and ceremony is about acknowledging that New Year is religious, cultural, and symbolic, for the thousands of people on the outside, it is really just a prelude to the most important part. This.
Apparently this woman and her child have come all the way from Sweden to touch the flag because it said that if you touch the flag, it gives you good luck and it can cure illnesses and blindness and stuff like that. And so they've come to touch the flag.
It's becoming clear that the mass of people outside the fence have only one goal in mind: to get close to the flag.
Pretty soon I think that they're going to take down these gates and then the public is open and the rush and the crush is going to be crazy.
And this is when it starts to get scary. The crowd on the outside have started to break down the fence and are heading straight for the flag. In their desperation to get close to the flag, the crowd start throwing belongings towards it. And now the crowd is crushing in on itself as more and more people keep pouring in. It's clear that the police cannot control the situation. Finally, we have no choice but to climb for our lives, along with everyone else. It's a near miss, and one I'm glad to have survived. But if I thought the danger was over, I'm mistaken. On this ground, every year on New Year's Day, a Buzkashi competition is held, the Afghan national sport. And I'm going to be part of that from the safety of the reserves bench. I meet up with my Buzkashi trainer, Mr. Ali.
Tell him I'm really nervous. What should I do about the nerves?
عصبانی نباش دیگه ورزشکار چرا عصبانی باشن خونسرد ملایم خنده روی با اخلاق نفرات ببین موزه ما اینا میپوشم به موزه است
خوبه بزرگ است
This is a kamchin. It's basically a whip for my horse, and it's often held in the mouth to keep both hands free. And so I'm ready to be a reserve.
How do you say in Farsi the word nervous?
Asabani.
Asabani. Asabani هستم. خیلی عصبانی هستم.
I am very asabani because I now realize how stupid I was to want to compete in this thing. I have to get out of it. I'm going to tell Mr. Ali that I don't want to be a reserve anymore. In fact, I don't want to have any part in the game whatsoever. Hang on. Why is he bringing that horse towards me?
Really? Miram? Okay.
This could be a disaster. But because I'm out here, I might as well explain the rules to you. There are two circles on the playing field, a starter circle and the scoring circle, commonly known as the circle of justice. The object of the game is to grab the goat, hold on to the goat, carry the goat to the flags at the opposite end of the field, somehow get back again, and drop the goat in a circle of justice. A team gets 1 point when they cross the line of flags, and 2 points for each goal. And for the individual? Now you understand the rules. Let the games begin. They say that Buzkashi symbolizes Afghan life, that on top it's all ordered and civilized, but underneath there's this explosive, anarchic quality to it. Now I know what they mean. Now you might be asking, what's happening with me? Well, I'm getting right into it. My cameraman Jake tells me that people in the crowd are starting to say I'm scared, and would I please hurry the f*** up and get that f***ing goat? It's moments like these that define a man and shape his destiny. It's moments like these that... okay. If I fall off here, there's no doubt I'll be trampled and crushed by the horses. But I give it a red-hot go. But that carcass is just out of reach. I'm just about to give up when it happens. For one brief, beautiful moment, I lay my hand on that dead goat. I can feel its hoof in mine. And then it's over. Okay, one more time. Priceless.
Man, that's one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my life. A lot of people thought I was afraid, but I'd like to think that I was just biding my time, because there are a lot of show ponies out there, so to speak. A lot of people who just want to go and grab that goat straight away, but it's not about that for me. You know, it's a whole lot more. It's organic, it's a process. And like a lot of things in life, you build up to it, you know, so that there's a climax at the end. Unfortunately, the climax was fleeting.
As I ride back with Mr. Ali, it's time to find out if I'm a true Chapandaz, the name they give to Buzkashi riders.
Ninja, I saw you out there today and you were going incredibly. Right in the middle there, taking it up, getting that goat. It was amazing. You were inspirational as a teacher.
میگفتن که خشونت داره. کجایش خشونت داره؟ هنر است، همش کمال است، شطارت است، مهارت است، غیرت افغاناست.
Well,
can I call myself a Chapandaz now?
بله، کل افغانا لیترات در دورت بیبی چقدر مردم جمع.
So thank you so much for letting me ride today and for teaching me. بریم بخیر.
It's been an amazing week, but there's just one thing left to do. It's time to experience the famous New Year street dancing celebrations. There are thousands of people out on the streets staging these amazing little guerrilla dance-offs, which end quickly because if they don't, the cops come along and break it up because they don't want crowd problems. But they can't stop the music. I'm glad that I raced here to be part of the new year. There's such a raw, colourful energy here. And though Afghanistan's been through decades of war, the people have obviously not given up. They're very much alive. And just like their belief in the new year as a time of renewal, they are looking forward to a new day.